Kitty.
Kitty has to go.
I hate to break up this sweet and sappy moment, but boo, that's actually a human. Like, that ain't no kitty. That is a human being. And your so-called kitty could actually be your great times a million nephew or son. Okay, I have a lot of tea to spill, so welcome to the You Thought Plot, where I share my crazy theories about movies that you know and love. Let's get into it. Now, I know you're wondering, how is Sully a human? We're gonna get into it. Actually, all the monsters are humans. Crazy, but not too crazy to not be true. Also, Randall? He's actually a hero. He was portrayed to be a villain the whole movie, but like for a split second there, he was a hero. We'll make sense of that too. And we'll be uncovering why the government was hiding that the humans were toxic. Now, I don't mean to scare you, but this theory is gonna connect to the real world. So, we're gonna go in the past before Monsters Inc. took place, but it's actually gonna be the future for us. Year 2030, that's when the climate clock goes off, right? Things are about to get spicy. So, in this time frame, the government started building an underground world. The public did not know about this. We're gonna jump to 2080. The apocalypse happens. But by that time, the government already has advanced technology that isn't disclosed to the public, and they knew that apocalypse was coming. So they secretly moved underground. They moved their friends and their family and all of the people in the government underground. They left clones of themselves in the world above to replace themselves, so the public would not know. Before the apocalypse happened, they moved in the year 2079. Bro, I know this is crazy. It's crazy, but just follow me here. Unfortunately, the atmosphere changed. The ozone layer thinned to nothing. The people above were unfortunately wiped out because of all the changes in the environment. Now, I know you're thinking, well, how are they actually monsters, but they're not monsters when they get down there? We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get there. But let's talk about the brain wipe. Not everyone who was taken down to the new world underneath ground was a part of the government, and they couldn't just know like what was going on, right? Because that could send them into chaos. The government is always so secretive, right? So they did a brain wipe. This is how they did it. They created a rain that would be rained down on the first day of them coming to the new underground world that would wipe their brains. So all of the people who were down there, their brains were wiped, besides the people in the government. They're restoring their power. Now, this is how the humans turned into monsters. Because the rain was not tested on anyone prior, the rain caused a genetic mutation while also wiping the people's brains. Follow me here. This genetic mutation started changing the new babies that were born into the new underground world into monsters slowly, until eventually all the future generations became monsters. And of course, the government made some excuse as to why this was happening, but they could not tell them the real reason. Maybe they said it was because of the food, like things in the food, but that's not important. In Monsters Inc., there's an issue. What's that issue? Power. Now, the government knew that they would not be able to rely on, solar panels or anything like that, or any type of electricity that worked on Earth now that they were underground. So they had tested a theory about screams before going underground because they knew that their prior energy sources would not work. What energy source did they find? Screams. They used the screams of their own children by scaring them, which is really sus, but they used that energy in order to power the new underground world, to just get the ball rolling. Right? But by the time they had Monsters Inc. rolling up, right, they were already in a power shortage because that took years to build, right? Now they thought that these screams were going to last them until they had enough time to build Monsters Inc. Previously, they were going to call it Scary Inc., but they turned into monsters, so hence Monsters Inc. Now, once they got the factory up and running, of course, they had to lay down the law, lay down the rules. And one of the laws they had to abide by was to not touch anything in the rooms or the children because they were quote unquote toxic. Now, the government knew that was not true, as we see in the movie, but there are some reasons why they did not want the monsters to know that the kids were not toxic. But let's go over the facts of this theory. The children that they're scaring are from the past, a different timeline, if you will. This is post climate change, and post-apocalypse. And as we all know, when timelines are intertwined a little while and too long, bad things happen, right? So the government knew that they had to tell the monsters that they shouldn't stay in the rooms for very long. Get the energy and get out, because bad things could happen to them. Like, why would they go that whole long way to have all of these yellow monster people, or I don't know what they are, come and disinfect people when it's really not doing anything to anyone? Y'all remember that one scene with that orange furry guy with the sock? Yeah, that was just for the plot and to keep order. You picking up what I'm putting down? I hope you are. But the government knew that bad things could happen. Maybe like the people will fade away or, dissipate if they're in a different timeline for too long. Who knows? But we know one thing about the government. They want to keep order, and they want to do it in the easiest way possible. Just think about it. If the monsters knew, aka humans knew, that they were human, just like the human kids that they're scaring, do you think they would still want to scare them? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they would want to go back to the past. You never know. It would just destroy the whole world that they spent years and years and years creating. So there was no reason to tell them to begin with. It could ultimately lead to a permanent power outage, and all of their hard work would be for nothing, and everything would be over. Well, why didn't the government banish Sully and the one-eyed guy after they found out that the children were not toxic? Let me explain. I will explain that to you right now. But first, we have to go over the fact that the CEO of the company said that he would kidnap children in order to save the company. Y'all remember that scene?
I'll kidnap 1,000 children before I let this company die.
But here's the reason why they did not banish Sully and the one-eyed guy. I can't even think of his name. Mike Wazowski. One, because they were highly trusted employees, and losing them would mean losing power to the company. And no monster would honestly believe them saying, oh yeah, the humans, they are literally not toxic. Like, they would think that was crazy. So it wouldn't matter anyway. Oh wait, y'all remember that little sappy scene, like when Sully and Boo had to not see each other again?
About the girl.
I just want to send her home.
Why did the government just say, oh yeah, you guys can't see each other? Literally, she just said, oh, that's the way things have to be.
That's the way it has to be.
Like, girl, what? Like, what was the actual reason? Now, what I believe would be the reason is that Sully gained a deep connection with Boo and vice versa, and that could also be detrimental to the new underground world, right? And this could actually risk the secret that humans aren't toxic being exposed to the general public, right? Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, Randall is a hero. Do you know why? It's not because he was trying to save the company. It was because he was trying to cheat. If Randall wasn't trying to cheat, then Sully would have never met Boo. And if Sully never met Boo, then they would have never figured out that laughs would be a bigger source of energy. Mind blown. And the energy crisis would have kept lasting. Now, let's run it back real quick. The monsters are futuristic humans that evolved over time and need power to keep their world alive. The government hid that children weren't toxic to keep order, and Randall is the true hero of this movie, because without him there would honestly be no movie. I know it's a little bit crazy. It's a lot to digest. But if you like this theory, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and let me know what you think about this theory in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next theory.